Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my website fritzmeanphotos.com. I am so happy you are joining me again. I wanted to make a video today to, address my bride and grooms. I have had a couple of consultations recently where I will suggest something and the bride or groom will be like, oh, I didn't think of that, which I don't even blame you because you don't attend like 30 weddings plus per year, and for most of you this is your first wedding. So of course there are little things to consider when planning a wedding that you don't even think about. It's mind-boggling, really, that like just the effort and the things that come with planning a wedding. And so today I have come up with 5 things that I think is helpful to consider when planning your wedding. So the first thing is the first look. Are you going to have a first look? And I know a lot of wedding photographers will suggest the first look, and maybe even planners as well. The whole point of the first look is, of course, it's non-traditional. Traditionally, the groom will see the bride for the first time when she's walking down the aisle. But the point of the first look is really to have that moment between just the two of you. So the bride will usually, and the groom, will go somewhere private, and myself or your videographer will set it up where the groom will have his back turned and the bride will walk up from behind him and will show him how she looks for the first time. So you see each other for the first time, and it's not like you don't have 100 pair of eyes on you. It's a moment between just the two of you. As a photographer, I take a step back. Of course, I'm still photographing this, but I have various zoom lenses to capture the moment. So I'm not in your face. It's still a private moment between the two of you. And a lot of benefits to this is that first, of course, like I mentioned, this is a private moment, just the two of you. Second, it cuts down on time. Really, it does. You get to enjoy the rest of your day with your guests. When you have the first look, when you make time for the first look before the ceremony, you're able to take your bridal portraits and your portraits with your groom before the ceremony. So we're able to get those out of the way. So after the ceremony, you can head right back to cocktail hour, throw a couple shots back, do what you gotta do with your guests and have fun. Because you've already taken care of that huge task before the ceremony time. So after the ceremony, you get to relax. So that is another benefit. It's really hard sometimes convincing or telling brides about first looks because a lot of people are traditional and they want to stay with that traditional route, and I can't even blame you. I wouldn't want my fiance seeing me before, the ceremony. I need him to be wowed as I'm walking down the aisle. So it really is, I guess, a preference. Everyone's different. So, but I also want you to think about it and consider it. Maybe you'll go the first look route, maybe not. So the next thing I want you to consider when planning your wedding is, are you going to have an unplugged wedding? Now, I always urge the bride and groom to choose an unplugged wedding. What does that mean? It means that during the ceremony, you tell your guests, or there is a sign out, or the priest will tell your guests that the cell phones and the iPads and the big old cameras need to go away. Put them in your bag, put them under your seat, make them disappear. Why is this important? And I know a lot of people, we live in a digital world where everyone wants to capture everything right then and then. And I completely understand. But if your Uncle Bob gets in my way with his iPad and blocks your first kiss, guess who's not photoshopping him out? Me, this girl. Because you want your guests to be present in the moment with you. And it's okay to put your cell phones and, your digital stuff away for just 20 minutes. have them enjoy the moment with you. I mean, why am I even there? Why are you paying me if they're all capturing the wedding for you? That is why you have a professional hired to capture the day step by step by step as it happens. That is why I'm here, to capture the moment. So it is not pretty. Look on Pinterest to see unplugged weddings, because you will see a sea of, guests with their iPhones and their iPads, and they're all blocking each other. Some people are in the aisle, and it looks ridiculous, in my opinion. I am super passionate on this topic, as you can see, but I feel like it's really important to have the unplugged wedding. I want you to definitely consider it, and that is one thing that I feel like a lot of bride and grooms don't really think about until it's suggested to them. So an unplugged wedding, have that on your list of things to consider. The next thing that I would like you to consider is albums and prints. Now, a lot of collections from different photographers include albums and they include prints. And I always suggest that you find out if you're not going to order an album. Not everyone wants to order an album, but I strongly suggest you do, because it's nice to have something tangible that you can show your guests and you can keep in front of you to look and relive the day. So I always suggest that. But if you're not going to, always ask your photographer if you are able to print through them. Why is that? Because of the fact that printing through your photographer means you're going to get a better quality product than if you were to print at your local drugstore. When you print through your photographer, they print through professional labs that are able to look at the photographs, each one individually, to make sure the tones are correct, to make sure the sizing is correct, and that everything is up to quality standards to be delivered to you. It makes a big difference. So always put that into consideration as well, printing. Now, the next thing I want to suggest is sunset. A lot of people are thinking of sunset weddings, sunset ceremonies, and I want you to think about planning your day around what time the sun is going to set. Now, the timeline of the day is really important, because you don't want the ceremony to be too early where it's like super hot and everyone is just like roasting under the sun. But when it's too late, especially if you don't plan on doing a first look, it's going to be tough to do bridal photographs after the ceremony, because it's getting dark. And if you fell in love with your photographer because of the daylight pictures that you've seen, you're not going to be happy with a lot of flash photography if that's not what you fell in love with in the first place. So always consider the timeline of the day. Make sure that there is enough time to, make sure that there's enough time for photographs. Show your photographer the timeline before submitting it to the venue or the event planner, or make sure that your event planner and your photographer are in contact and they can work it out together. You want to leave enough time, a realistic amount of time, and only your photographer will be able to let you know what really is a realistic amount of time to take family photographs and to take bridal photographs and bride and groom photographs, especially like if you have a really big wedding, a really big wedding party, or if you want to take your photographs somewhere that is off-site in a different location from your venue. You want enough time, and an event planner or your photographer will be able to let you know realistically, this is how much time you really have, or this is not going to work. So always consider. The last thing that I want to mention is vendor meals. A lot of times you don't really think about feeding your team, your staff, the people who have worked to make this day amazing. And this is always a tricky topic because I'm never going to suggest that buy me a meal. No, that's not necessarily fair to you, but always allow some time in the day for your wedding vendors to take a break. Because wedding days usually last 8 to 10 or even 12 hours. And it's going to be really tough to work throughout the day. So most contracts, my contract, allows at least 30 minutes of the day for me to just, hang back and grab a bite to eat. Not necessarily on your dime. I usually bring lunch as well, but it would be really great for that it was provided. But usually the 30 minutes of time to just recuperate and just to rest, because realistically speaking, on your work day, you get a break. Whether it be 30 minutes or an hour, but you do get a break. You don't work 8 to 12 hours without a moment of rest. So that is also something else to consider when planning the timeline of your day. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope that, I don't know, maybe it gave you some insight to planning your wedding day. But if you do have any questions at all, make sure to send an email or to leave a comment down below. Also, I do plan on creating videos like this in the future, so please don't forget to like and to subscribe to my channel, and I definitely appreciate you watching. See you next time. Bye.